I got a question. I need you to answer it honestly. Will you do that? No matter what. Ready? I want you to raise your hand if you're tired. All right, put it in. I want you to raise your hand if you'd like nothing more than just to curl up and take a nap right now. All right, if you can't see this online, y'all probably still napping. That's about everybody. Is it the rain, you think? I'm going to say something to you. I don't for 1 minute want your fatigue, your tiredness to rob you of what I got to tell you today. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it. Okay? But I'm going to need you to stay awake. Okay? I'm going to do my best. I was literally back there just a minute ago praying for y'all because I can feel it. And when you do what we do enough, you step up in front of audiences week after week, you get a feel real quick for where you're at. And I just know you're tired. But I want to tell you something. God's got something important to tell you today. So stick with me, okay? It's that time of year again. The time of year we look forward to. It's time to celebrate. Okay, Christmas. We'll get there. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're celebrating Christmas, which is all about? Okay, good. I feel like that was still a little lethargic. The birth of Christ, Jesus, that's what the season is all about. It's about Jesus. 'Tis the season for celebrating Jesus. That's why we call it Christmas, right? Because it's all about Christ, right? You know what Christmas means in Spanish? More Christ. Christ mas, right? And that's how it works, right? I don't know. I'm just making, that's not true, guys. It's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. I don't know. I'm limited culturally. As Christians, you and I gather to celebrate Jesus' birth. That's why Christmas began. The Son of God on a rescue mission. He is the one between BC and AD. Jesus showing up here on earth. The arrival of the King of Kings. The gift to the world. Y'all fired up yet? I don't know. Mighty God in a barn. Prince of Peace in a manger. Everlasting Father swaddled up in cloths. The wonderful counselor lying in some hay. That's what we're here to celebrate, the birth of Jesus. That's what it's all about, right? Well, I mean, sort of. I mean, let's be honest. We kind of muddied the waters a little, hadn't we, Ernie? Okay. I mean, I feel like, pastor to church, can I say something honestly to you? I mean, we've kind of let some other things begin to define the Christmas season, right? I mean, there's Santa Claus, right? Y'all, nobody knows Santa Claus? Okay, thanks. Let's all, can we own this? Can we own this as a group of people? There's Santa Claus, right? We celebrate Santa. Okay, we celebrate Mrs. Claus as well. He's got a wife. They're elves too, don't forget. We got elves now. Little pointy ears, elves on shelves. We got all kinds of things we do. Got reindeer. Not just normal reindeer, but they fly. Right, kids? There's even a particular reindeer with a red nose. What's his name? See, y'all said his name with some energy. I know the answer to that question. Frosty the Snowman. We got characters, right? Frosty the Snowman. The Grinch. My kids love The Grinch. There's the 2018 cartoon. Grinch is solid. It's a good movie. We watch it every Christmas. Tim Allen. You know, he's a part of Christmas now. Does everybody's Christmas include Tim Allen? Okay, good. And they're not just characters. I mean, they got worship music too, right? Frosty the Snowman, right? Scott, I heard him singing it earlier. I'm just kidding, I did. Santa Claus is coming to town. They all got their songs, right? Rudolph, he's got his song. Everybody's got their song. Even a partridge in a pear tree's got a song. And I don't even know what that is. I'm assuming it's a bird of some kind. Never seen it. It's not just the characters, it's not just the songs, it's not just everything. Christmas is about a lot of other stuff. It's kind of insatiable gift giving. It's kind of about us, right? Getting our gifts and giving our gifts. Decorating. We got to do the lights, we got to do the trees, we got to do all the things. We got to get everything. It's parties, fun. Let's just say this. I'm being honest, right? It's just us and everybody watching online. If I were to just step into Christmas completely blind to what Christmas was about, and I was just to look around and take in the evidence and the propaganda, I have to say, if it is the season for celebrating Jesus, it also appears it is the season for a lot of other stuff. Right? Maybe even a little bit more about the other stuff than it is Jesus. It does seem that there are lots of other things that have begun to define this celebratory period of time we believe is meant for one reason. The block of time affectionately known as Christmas. I've recently kind of had this put on my heart that I felt like God wanted me to caution you headed into this Christmas. He wanted me to just talk to you as you head into this holiday season. Right? Now I want you to listen. I don't want to be a stick in the mud. That's not who I am. Y'all know me. I like to have fun. I like to have as much fun, my girls and I, with Christmas, and with Brittany, we have as much fun as anybody. So I don't want to be a stick in the mud. I don't want to silence your jingle bells. Okay? I don't want to undeck your halls. Okay? I don't want to rain on your Christmas parade, which happened, by the way. We're not having that thing. You know? We have to have parades at Christmas too. I don't want to do that. But I do want to make sure that we know what Christmas is all about. And that we remain focused on what Christmas is all about. It's not hard to see that celebrating Jesus alone at Christmas is in a battle. And in my opinion, losing to a lot of other things. There are so many other traditions, events, and focuses that have crowded out Christ. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of us are to blame because we've kind of allowed it to happen. If it is the season for celebrating Jesus' birth, then this has to be our question. Why does so little about the holiday have to do with Him? Why do we have all of this other stuff that is a part of Christmas now? I have a theory. I actually had several theories, but I picked the one I felt like made the most sense. Maybe because for most of us, Jesus isn't enough. That one stung, didn't it? Maybe just celebrating the birth of a baby, it just isn't enough. And so we've kind of allowed all of these other things into our lives to become a part of what we understand to be Christmas. Maybe it's just that simple. Maybe in our minds and in our hearts, Jesus just isn't a big enough thing to celebrate on His own. Now I want to tell you something. That's not because Jesus is not a big enough thing to celebrate on His own. I have a feeling that many in the world, and maybe a lot of us, do not actually understand everything Jesus' birth meant for us. Y'all still with me? Okay, well, that's good. I have a feeling that a lot of people, doggone it, they just don't know what Jesus' birth meant for them. They don't know how big a deal it is. They don't understand everything that Jesus brought with Him. So, I feel it is my job, my responsibility to make sure that we know why Jesus is the reason for the season, and that's what I want to do over the next 4 weeks. I want us to remain focused on why we are celebrating Jesus. Now listen to me. I'm not trying to take down Santa Claus. Right, Tony? That's right. But I just think if I remind you, if I inform you of everything that baby boy's birth meant for you, you won't have any trouble keeping him right where he should be, at the top. So, let's start. You ready? I got 4 things I want to share with you over the next 4 weeks. First, let's talk some theology. You got it? 700 years before Christ was born, perhaps the most well-known prophet in the Bible, Isaiah, shared a message with the current king of Israel. Israel was in complete disarray. It had centuries of evil kings, poor kings, civil issues, and Israel, the people of God, have been in the middle of warring superpowers. They had been ravaged. They had been tyrannically ruled for centuries is what had happened. Now we understand when you read the Bible, the reason this had happened to God's chosen people is because they had been disobedient and they had been obstinate, stubborn towards God. They hadn't acknowledged that they were doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And so God kind of allowed them to just be a pinball in the world at that time. That's what happened to them. But God, even when you read the book of Isaiah, what you'll see is God is speaking through a prophet, and He is still reaching for His people. He is still hoping that His people will come back to Him. He is still trying to get them to look at Him and love Him and follow Him. And so that's what He's doing through Isaiah. That's the message that He's delivering. And in this particular verse I want to share with you, God is sharing how deliverance, how salvation is coming for them. You everybody with me? So through Isaiah, God is saying, this is how I'm going to save my people from this mess that they are in. Are you ready? Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. It's going to be on the screen. This is what it says. It says, "Look, the virgin will conceive a child. She will give birth to a son and will call him Emmanuel," which means God with us. Now, in this message, Isaiah, this is 700 years now. 700 years before Christ is born, Isaiah is sharing this with the king of Israel. He's talking about Mary, right? He's talking about the birth of Jesus. But I know what you noticed. You said, what's with the name change? The baby was supposed to be called Jesus. Why here is it saying Emmanuel? Here's the truth. Isaiah is not saying a different earthly name for the baby. Isaiah instead is speaking to the character, the form, and the purpose of the baby that is going to be born. Emmanuel, meaning God with us. Now this phrase that Isaiah shares is not meant to just be a cool thing. He's literally sharing exactly who this baby is and what this baby is meant to cause, what this baby is meant to do. God was born on earth. Are you with me? That's what he's saying. When Jesus was born, God was now physically here among us, living, tangible, touchable. He was right there. All of God, everybody with me still? All of God was now wrapped up in that manger. That's what happened. And the coolest part is this, is God's purpose in this, in coming to earth, is evident in those three words, God with us. God was coming in order to be united with us, in order to restore a relationship with us. That's what he's here for. He is God on a mission to be with us forever, to comfort us, to enlighten us, to protect us, to defend us, to help us. That's why that baby boy was born. No matter what temptation or trial we may face in our lives, He is God sent to earth to unite with us and never leave us again through salvation. Can get one amen in any of this? That means that all the power of God and all the authority of God resided in that baby boy. Everybody with me? And He was sent to be joined with us, to be united with us. Emmanuel. You know what that means? That means that when God arrived on this earth, that some things came with Him. When God arrived on this earth and He was coming to join you, coming to unite with mankind in relationship, He brought some stuff with Him. This is God we're talking about. And I want to share 4 things that He brought with Him. And I would like to share the first of which today. This is God with us. But in order to share the first one with you, guess what I got to do? I got to tell you a story. In John chapter 11 is where we're going to be if you want to follow along. In John 11, we join God with us. Emmanuel, we join Jesus. But he's not a baby. He's a little more mature, okay? He's somewhere around 33 years old. And Jesus, he was somewhere in Galilee, and a messenger came with an urgent message, and the message was simple. This was the message. It said, Jesus, the one you love, is sick. There's somebody that you love, and he's sick. Now, this message we know came from two sisters, Mary and Martha, and the message was in regards to their brother Lazarus. Now, you have to understand, this trio of people were special to Jesus. These weren't just people that he happened upon one time, bumped into. These were people that mattered to him greatly. As a matter of fact, these are people we see him meeting with multiple times in the Gospels. But these are people, these were his friends. These were his trusted confidants. These were people he loved. These were people he stayed with, he spent time with. This was a family that he was deeply, deeply devoted to. And so when he hears that this person is sick, when he hears that Lazarus is sick, Jesus informs the messenger and the present company that he had around him. He says, this is what he said. He says, Lazarus' illness will not end in death. And everybody's like, well, that's good to hear. That's awesome. And then Jesus did something absolutely crazy. You want to know what he did? Nothing. He stayed right where he was. He was in the middle of ministry. I'm sure he was helping people, and he kept doing that, staying where he was. He didn't pack up. He didn't do anything. He just stayed where he was, doing the work that he was doing. And after 2 days, we're told, Jesus finally looks at his disciples, and he says, hey, guys, it's time to pack up. It's time to go. And his disciples protested. Apparently, the last time they were in that area, some people had tried to kill Jesus. They tried to kill all of them, as a matter of fact. And so these disciples were like, no, we can't go back there. If we head back that way, we're going to run inside, and they're going to kill us, is what's going to happen. But this is what Jesus said. Jesus said, hey, he said, guys, Lazarus is asleep, and I need to go wake him. Well, you know what the disciples thought? Well, good. I mean, sleeping's good when you're sick. You need to sleep when you're sick. That's what Grandma always said, right? But you and I know the truth. When Jesus said, Lazarus is asleep, what did he mean? Lazarus was dead. That's right. Lazarus was dead. His sisters were in mourning. His sickness had killed him. Lazarus, as a matter of fact, had already went through the burial rituals. He was wrapped up. They prepared his body. They placed his body in a tomb. And when Jesus and company arrive, if you read John 11, when Jesus and company arrive, we're told that Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. Little late, huh? A little late. The sister Martha ran out to meet Jesus. When she sees Jesus, the first words out of her mouth as she weeps in front of Jesus is this. She said, if you have been here, Lazarus would not have died. If you had just been here, Lazarus would not have died. You know what she's saying? I believed in you. I trusted you. I thought you could get here in time. If you had been here when he was sick, he would not have died. You got that? But it's the next sentence she said that matters most. It's the next thing that just, I don't know what the word is. I've tried to think of a word all week. It bubbles out of her. This next sentence just she just says it, I think, but it just comes out of her heart. Listen to what she said. Verse 22, she says, but I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. What's she saying? I know you're powerful enough. I know God will listen to you. I know that anything is possible with you. That's what she says, isn't it? This statement just kind of erupts out of Martha. That's what she said. I think she says, man, if you'd have been here, he wouldn't have died. She goes, but I know anything's possible with you. I know that. Anything is possible. Jesus assures her. He says, listen to me. Your brother will live again. Anyone who believes in me, they will be raised to life. That's what Jesus says to her. He says, do you believe this? Martha says, yes, I believe this. You're the Son of God. And then I think that doubt of this immediate miracle kind of leaves her mind, and she says, I believe my brother will be resurrected in the last days. Speaking of the resurrection. And Jesus said, okay. Jesus says, hey, go and get your sister. And he sends Martha, and Martha goes and gets Mary. And when Mary hears that Jesus is there, she comes running. And the group of people that were with her come running. When Mary gets to Jesus, it says, we're told in the Bible, that she falls at his feet and immediately just begins weeping. I'm talking about deep, sad weeping. And all of the other people with her begin to weep. And it says, when Jesus saw her, he was deeply moved. She said to him, you know what she said? If you'd only been here, then my brother would have lived. It says Jesus was deeply moved and he began to weep as well. And Jesus asked, he said, will you take me to the place where Lazarus is buried? So they gather together and they all walk to the tomb where Lazarus is buried. And Jesus, when he steps up in front of the tomb, he's standing in front of the tomb. I think everybody's watching him, kind of letting Jesus have his moment. Jesus says, open it up. Roll the stone away. Now listen, when he says this, Martha protests. What's with all these people protesting Jesus? Martha protests. She says, Jesus, we can't. He's been dead for 4 days. If we roll this stone away, it's going to smell. That's what she says. It's going to smell. His body is already decomposing in this tomb. We can't do that. We can't possibly open this tomb with everybody here like this. Jesus said, just do what I said. Verse 40, look at what he said. It said, then Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? You know what Jesus is saying? In very much Tim McCall fashion. You want to see something awesome? Then believe me. Verse 41 says, so they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me. But I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. And when he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. And the dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and cloth. You understand what this looked like? Little mummy, yeah. A little bit scary probably. He comes walking out, still in the funeral garb. He walks out. Jesus raised his friend from death. He took a situation and completely changed it. He performed a miracle in front of everyone. Okay. Everybody still awake? When we celebrate the birth of Jesus, there is something we celebrate that is so important for you and me. There is something that if you're not careful, you will forget what it is all about. If you don't watch yourself, you will think you're celebrating just a baby being born. You just won't get the magnitude that the birth of Jesus was. There is something that he brought with him. And if you look in this story, you can see it. Did you see it? Martha hints at it. Martha gives us a little nod. It's in something she says. Did you catch it? When Jesus arrived, Martha felt something, and she alluded to that she felt. Verse 22 again. Let me read it again. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. What is this in Martha? What is it that we see in Martha right here? Even now, These two words mean a lot. Even now, even when all seems lost, even when there's no chance that this situation could change, even now that he's been dead for so long, even now when everything seems hopeless, you can do whatever God wills you to do. You can ask for anything and it will be done. Even now. Do you see what it is in her? It's hope. Hang on. It's hope. That's what she felt. She's just a woman. She's just a human. Just a person. But right there, just those few words, you see something in her when Jesus arrived. It's a little twinge of hope. Even now, something good could happen. Even now, God could do it. Here's your thing. Jesus' arrival brings hope. If you want to write a sentence down, write that down. Jesus' arrival brings hope. Do you understand that prior to Jesus showing up in Bethany, Lazarus was dead and he was going to stay that way? You understand? But the second Jesus showed up, the second he rolled up in the driveway, the second he tapped on the door, I'm talking about when he got there, all bets were off. Hopelessness met hope for the first time. Death was no longer a foregone conclusion, as it had been for thousands, millions of years beforehand. I want to tell you something, guys. Martha is a woman of faith. And we like to give her a hard time because she gets scolded a couple of times in the Bible. And so we give Martha a hard time, us Bible people. But I can assure you, that woman had more faith than probably most of us. She said, even now, God can do whatever. You know why? Martha knew Jesus. She had a close relationship with Jesus. She loved him. And when she saw Jesus standing in her driveway, this thought, this feeling, this, I don't know, man, it just emanated from within her. You know what it was? It was hope. Hope that maybe he could do something. Even now, God will give you whatever you ask. When Jesus shows up, he brings hope with him. And when we celebrate Jesus' birth, you and I must understand that we are also celebrating the birth, the arrival of hope in our lives. Everybody still awake? 'Tis the season for hope. Let me tell you about you. Your situation was hopeless before Jesus was born. Make sure you hear this. Your situation was hopeless before Jesus was born. You were estranged from God because of your sin. That sin in your life was a barrier in your relationship with him, and you were headed for certain death. Period. You were going to pay the price for that sin, and that price was death. And you could never do good enough. You could never live well enough. You could never ask for enough forgiveness to fix that relationship or save yourself from doom. Do you understand? But then Jesus showed up. In the millisecond that baby boy opened his eyes on this earth, there was hope for you. There was hope that you could be saved. There was hope that you could experience a relationship with God. There was hope that you could experience a full life here on earth. Billy Graham says this. He says, for the believer, there is hope beyond the grave because Jesus Christ has opened the door to heaven for us by his death and resurrection. You hear that? There's hope for you. And here's the coolest part. It doesn't just stop with that. It doesn't end with salvation. My devotional on Monday morning was this, Isaiah 40:31. And this is what it says. It says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. There is a life with hope in it because of Jesus. When you know Jesus and you have a relationship with Him, when you understand that He is God with you, He plants something inside of you. He plants something deep in your heart, and it's hope. You'll feel it coming up from time to time. It'll be like a nudge in your spirit. It's like a thought that just pops in your mind. And you'll remember that because you belong to Jesus, because you know Him, there is hope no matter what it is you face. No matter what you face or how challenging or how hard, how awful, how desperate, how downhearted, how terrible, or how long you've been dealing with it, there is something that just emits from within you when you know Christ and you really know who Jesus is and that He is God with you. You have hope. No matter the battle that you are facing in your life, no matter, I'm telling you, there is hope for you. There is hope for your marriage. There is hope for your kids. There is hope for your loved ones. There's hope in your addiction. There's hope in your suffering. There's hope in your health situation. There is hope for you. And it all started when a baby boy was born in Bethlehem. You might not believe it. There might be somebody here and you don't believe it for whatever reason. Maybe the death certificate's been written. Maybe you look at your life and you say, man, this is a stinky mess. You just don't understand. I want to tell you something. There is hope for you, and it's in Jesus. It's in Jesus. It's in knowing and having a relationship with Him. That is one of the reasons that we celebrate Christmas. That's one of the reasons that that Christmas should be all about Jesus. That's why He should be at the top of the pile of everything else. Because I want to tell you, when He was born, hope came with Him. Hope for you. So what do you do? How do you head into the Christmas season? How do you, even as tired as you are, how do you go about making sure that you're celebrating everything that Jesus brought with Him? I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to share hope. Church, you have an amazing opportunity. Amazing opportunity this December. This Christmas season, you could share hope with somebody. I want to ask you to do me a favor real quick. I want to ask you to think in your mind. There is somebody you know that needs hope. Isn't there? There may be a relative, maybe somebody at work, and they need hope. And maybe you're here this morning and you can't think of anybody that needs hope. I want to tell you this. Just go out into your world and just look to your left and to your right. Lift your eyes for just a minute from your work and your life and your stuff. Just look to your left and the right for a day or so. And I'm going to tell you what you will see. You will see somebody who needs hope. But I don't want you to just see them. I don't want you just to acknowledge them in your mind. I want you to share hope, right? That's what we said. We're going to share hope with them. You say, Tim, how you do that? I decided I was just going to help you. I got a little paragraph we're going to put on the screen right here. I want you to go to them. I don't care if it's a complete stranger. I don't care if it's somebody you love dearly. I want you to go to them and I want you to say some version of this. Everybody here, do me a favor. Get out your phones. Get out your phones. I know you got them. Scroll through the Facebook notifications. Get that off there real quick. Take a picture of this. Because I want you to have it. I want you to know exactly what the expectations are. If you're online right now, you can screenshot the screen. Or you can take a picture of the screen. Take a picture. It's super duper simple. I know it's elementary, but I wanted to help you. I want you to go to somebody you see that needs help, and this is what I want you to say. They need hope. You go say, hey, I don't know what you got going on. I don't know your situation. I don't know the specifics, but I know it must be difficult. I want to tell you something that I feel compelled to tell you. Now, I want you to be compelled, okay? You'll know it when it happens. God's got His ways. You'll know it when it happens. It'll happen inside of you. I feel compelled to tell you there is hope for you. And His name is Jesus. And He's been my hope for a while now. And can I pray for you that He'll bring hope into your life? You can edit that however you want to be more fitting for you, but I want you to know that's all you got to do. Can it get simpler than that? No. Just step into it courageously. Walk to them. Put an arm around them. Say, hey, listen, I don't know you, but I can tell you got something going on, and I'm sure it's difficult. I want you to know something. There is hope for you. You want your Christmas to be about Him, then make it about Him and share what it is He gave you with other people. That's what we're going to do this Christmas. We're going to learn what that birth meant for us, and we're going to share that with others. You with me? Share hope. If you will, every head bow and all eyes closed. First off, I want you to hear me. If you're here this morning and you don't have that hope in your life, you do not know Christ, I'm going to stand right up here this morning. I'm going to stand right up here in front as soon as this service is over, and I'm waiting on you, okay? I'm waiting on you. I want to talk to you. If you're interested in receiving Christ, if you're interested in beginning that relationship with Him, I'll be standing right here, unbothered by other things, waiting on you. Come talk to me. Father, here's my prayer. If there's someone here that needs that, give them the courage to come up here this morning. Give them the courage to come have a conversation with me. Come have a good conversation with me. But this is my prayer for the rest of the church. We are supposed to be celebrating the birth of your Son. And I love all the other stuff, but I want it to be about you. I want it to be about Him and everything that His birth meant for us, because we got hope because of Him. And we got some other stuff because of Him that I'm excited to say, but we got hope because of Him. And no matter how dark things get, no matter how bad things get, God, every once in a while, even when I feel weak and when I feel tired, I'll look up and I have just a little bit of hope, and it keeps me going. It keeps me moving. It keeps me running. It keeps me walking, and that is what we are thankful for. That's what we celebrate, is the hope that Christ gave us. I pray that we share that with others. That's the reason. That's what it's all about. It's not for us to hold on to it, keep it for ourselves, but to share it with others. And so I pray, God, that you will give us the courage, the boldness to go and share hope with those we know. Some of us, we thought of somebody immediately. God, help us to do that. Help us to do that in a loving, kind way. God, and some of us, we couldn't think of anybody immediately. Put somebody in our path. Help us to see them. I pray we run into them, literally, like at the grocery store. Our carts collide, if that's what's got to happen. And we see them and we recognize that right there is somebody in need of hope, and we share that hope with them in prayer. And we pray that God will work in their life, that He will make Himself evident, He will make Himself real to them, and He will bring hope to whatever it is they are facing. In Jesus' name, everybody here says, amen. Church, I love you. I look forward to the rest of this Christmas with you. Go share hope for me. Go Go share hope for him. Bye-bye.